Welcome to In Recovery, Shadowboxing with Life. I am Dr. Pascal Scoles, Professor of Behavioral Health and Human Services, Community College of Philadelphia. The great irony of existence is that what makes life worth living comes from our dark side. It comes from everything that makes us suffer and ultimately heal. As we struggle with life, we're forced to live more deeply, more fully. Many great stories illuminate the shadow side of life. Great leaders understand this, and this understanding makes them humble and effective human beings. Today, my special shadow boxer is Joselyn Rivera. Well, Joselyn, I know you were a little nervous because you told me that, but I was really impressed with your story when I first met you, which is only about a week and a half ago. You're like one of the new people in recovery at the Office of Collegiate Recovery. So I was wondering, can you tell us a little bit about how you wound up sober and clean?
Of course. Well, it began living in a household where my father was an addict. I remember my mom had, actually told us everything. I want to say I was about 7 or 8.
Okay.
He had gone out, got beat up over cocaine and stuff like that. So we kind of found out he was also HIV positive that day. A lot of stuff was brought to light. After their divorce, I feel like we kind of just all went our own separate ways. There wasn't any bonding when it came to my siblings and I. We didn't hang out anymore.
Do you have a couple sisters or brothers?
I have an older brother and a younger sister.
Oh, okay.
And then after they divorced, my brother and I went with my father, and then my younger sister went with my mom. I wasn't really allowed to see my father after a while, so then I had to move with my mom because of his addiction. And I just wasn't happy about that. I kind of stopped going to school around the age of 14 to take care of him, to clean the house, because he had gotten so deep into his addiction that his HIV was just taking over his body. He just wasn't doing well anymore. And then when he would, have his fix in a sense and feel better, I was just off with friends, experimenting with, drugs of my choice and whatnot to kind of just forget about my reality at the moment.
What drugs were you experimenting with at 14?
Ecstasy, a lot of ecstasy, marijuana, cocaine, and alcohol.
Okay.
I feel as if the first time I realized that I could actually have a dependency problem was when I found some cocaine in my father's car, and I treated it like it was a party, and it was for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and I just couldn't stop. And it got to the point where I was taking his stuff, and I was so young at that age. So moved in with my mom, started absconding, got in trouble for fighting and everything like that, got put on probation.
During this time you were involved with cocaine?
Yes,
okay.
It wasn't something that, I began doing every day, but if it was there, Jocelyn was gonna do it.
Oh, okay.
And then, shortly after that, I was sent to, the Juvenile Detention Center. I was there about 5 or 6 different times.
For possession?
No, for absconding. I was just running away. I didn't want to listen to any rules my mom gave me. The probation officer, nope.
You just did what you wanted to do.
Yep.
Okay.
And that's where I met the father of my children, was in the detention center. Okay. We kind of went off to our own programs, and then I found out I was pregnant. So in that juvenile program, since I was pregnant, I had a lot of leeway. So I was able to do what I wanted to do.
Okay.
So in a sense, I didn't retain anything the program was trying to teach me. I didn't care. All I knew was that I was in a 9 to 12 month program, and I was able to leave at 7 months because I was pregnant. Mm-hmm. And that's what I ultimately did. Decided to stay with the father of my children, and he, in order to get by, he would sell drugs, prescription pills, and they were his mother's on that.
Oh.
So she was just handing them out to us. And I feel like that's when my whole journey with prescription pills began.
And what kind of prescription pills were they? Oxys?
The Oxys, Xanax. He was also prescribed to Xanax at a very young age. Still, I was like, you know, I have kids, I don't want to party, I don't want to do this. So, you know, the way I thought about it was, oh, it's a Xanax. It's fine. Compared to an oxycodone, I wasn't okay with that. So
They're both addicting, as we know.
Yeah,
as we know.
but back then I was like, oh, Xanax is fine, you know? So for a while there, I was that person who didn't allow anyone in my house. As long as, if they were taking opioids, you're not allowed in my house, because my dad, that's what ultimately caused him to, he was an IV drug user. So he contracted HIV through that. And I just was very against it. Fast forward.
When you say you were against shooters?
Opioids.
Or just not taking orally like a Percodan or Percocets?
Oh no, you take them orally, you shoot them.
You're all right.
Yeah, I wasn't okay with that
you
at
weren't
all.
okay.
Yeah, but only as long as they were opioids. If you took Xanax, if you took Klonopin, we could hang out.
Oh, okay.
But opioids, I wasn't for it, which was really just
And both of all of
whack.
those substances you're talking about are addicting.
Everything is extremely addicting. I just, back then I kind of felt like, oh, well, you know, this isn't what the doctor is handing you, and you're not seeing people, you know, all over. I was actually in Florida, so everything is done behind closed doors. You're not seeing where you could potentially end up at, unless someone's trying to drill it into your head. I feel as if, you know, I thought I was strong enough to get through everything. Having my children, being with their father after he became an addict himself. I started resenting him for not helping me, so I started to take the oxycodone that he was on. And
so you were stealing his oxys?
I began to steal his oxys.
As a way of punishing him?
Punishing
I say
him.
I'm smiling because you're really punishing yourself when you do that.
Yeah, and I didn't realize it. All the while dealing with caseworkers because of, you know, child protective services and stuff. But somehow I, you know, just went around the system. I did it, you know, and I was like, oh, well, if I can do that, I can do anything. And I continue to take prescription pills even after I had my children. And it's just sad because after so long, your physical withdrawals will take over that motherly love. And you're not, you're worried in the back of your head, I need to, you know, take the kids a bath, I need to feed them, I need to do all this. But the first thing I need to do
is get your drugs.
Is get my drugs.
Right.
And
which is not an uncommon story
it happens a lot.
Mothers with their children.
It happens a lot,
the drugs take priority, even though you still want to prioritize your children. It's not that you want to be not a nice mother, you know, or an ideal mother, but the drugs just take you over.
They definitely do, to the point where my roommate's at home. I'm leaving the kids with the roommates, and I'm going to go find my drug, which is horrible. I think my incarceration, I went to the Department of Corrections in Florida 2 different times.
How long were you incarcerated those times?
Both times were for 2 years.
Oh, okay.
The first time, they put me in a boot camp because of my age. I was like, oh, well, I got out early again, you know? So, and being on parole, I decided I can smoke pot. All I got to do is take a whole bunch of niacin before the drug test.
Right.
That was not a good idea.
No.
Although I, you know, got off of parole, no one ever found out anything. I just kept, in a sense, just justifying my actions by, hey, you can do this and get out of it. You'll be fine. And ultimately, it led me right back to my second incarceration, which then I asked them to put me in a year rehab program.
Oh, okay. This is in Florida?
Yes.
Okay.
Unfortunately, after I got out, I relapsed again.
Sure.
Now,
Now, when you're in all these programs, is anyone talking to you about your addiction, or are you just incarcerated?
Oh, the second time in my program, there was definitely, I had a counselor, and she tried to talk to me, boy, but I was
You weren't in the mood.
was not in the mood because I felt as if you're trying to figure out why I'm mad. You're not trying to figure out why I'm an addict.
Right.
But little did I know that had so much to do with my addiction. But I did take a lot of stuff from that program that I use today. It sucks that I didn't use it when I needed to.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I ended up relapsing. So I moved up here.
How long ago did you move?
In 2016, I moved here. And January of 17, I believe. No, January of 18 is when I started CCP through the Reentry Support Project.
Oh, okay. So you came through that program initially.
Yes. And I did it because...
Where were you incarcerated then? Usually that reentry is related to an incarceration.
Well, I seen something on CCP. I was just, going through all the schools, and I saw that, and I was like, I've got to get into that.
Oh, okay.
And I did it because in November of 17, I got upset with something my son and I were talking about. And I went to the corner and I got a bag of heroin. And I overdosed in the kitchen. First time that's ever happened to me. And
in Philly?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the fentanyl Philly mix you got. That's what it
was.
Did they Narcan you?
Yes, in my home.
Narcaned.
I lost a great relationship, the most positive relationship I had ever been with because of that simple action. So I was like, I got to do something different. I can't keep this back and forth. Not only is it taken away from me being a mother to my children, it's taken a toll on my mental health, my physical health. I'm not who I was once. I'm not walking around with a smile on my face. I'm always sad. And I'm always wondering, why is this happening to me?
Sure, yeah.
But it's because I was doing it to myself. And then about a little over a year ago, I was hit by a car on the corner of 13th and Market Street. And
were you high at the time?
no,
You were just
I was leaving work. I had closed work, and I was leaving. And it was just really upsetting. He left. He kept going, which is, to each his own. Karma's well and works her way around. But I was put on pain meds after I left the hospital. I was put on a drip, and it bothered me because I didn't do that to myself. I didn't put myself back in that position.
Would they put you on, like, some Percodan or Percocet?
Dilaudid and ketamine.
Oh, really? They put you on Dilaudid?
Mm-hmm. Okay. And ketamine. And then shortly before my release, I was put on Oxy and then Tramadol.
And now remember, you're already very vulnerable historically. You already have a pathway in your brain that these are my drugs.
Mm-hmm. Which really, really sucked because it got to the point where I wasn't thinking about the drug helping with my pain. I was thinking about the drug giving me the high that I wanted. So I started taking more than I should.
Which is very classic addiction. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I had to go out and get it from the streets, and I wasn't liking it. I didn't like the person I was turning into. My roommate and I were fighting a lot. And then, Medicaid cuts out my insurance. They completely stop it. So I'm left with literally about 15 pills. And
you're addicted.
I'm addicted at this point. No doctor now. I can't see anyone. I can't get another prescription. I was like, you know what? This is my sign. This is what I have to do. I have to get off of these pills, but I've got to do it on my own. So unfortunately, I did go out and I bought Suboxone from someone off the street. But out of the 3 Suboxone that I bought, I only took 1.5. And a month later, I'm me again. I'm sleeping regularly. I'm eating.
So you detoxed yourself with
I
Suboxone?
detoxed myself.
Okay.
And that simple action, which isn't actually a simple action, it's
No, it's
huge.
pretty complicated, yeah.
Just showed me how strong I am and how capable I am of getting over this and, you know, working towards a better me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's why I'm here today. I had, you know, last spring semester, I had to drop all my classes because I'm running out of pills. I'm going into, you know, withdrawals. I can't pay mind to my work. I'm not retaining any information I'm learning. So I decided to just do everything I could to get myself back in school because school is what helped me last time.
Oh, I think for you and for many people in recovery, school is like a pathway to a new life. And I think in your case, it might be. Now, I only know you
definitely.
for a couple weeks because you just joined the
Yeah.
collegiate recovery program. But I think you have great potential. And
Thank you,
I
I
wish you
appreciate
stay. Hopefully you'll stay with us.
Oh, I'm staying.
And
I'm staying for
work
the
your way
journey.
through the journey to recovery and staying clean and sober.
Definitely.
Yeah, that was, it's good to have you here.
Thank you.
Good to have you here. You have been watching In Recovery, Shadowboxing with Life on CCPTV, the award-winning educational channel of Community College of Philadelphia. I want to thank my special guest, Joselyn Rivera, for sharing her story today. And I want to thank you, the viewers, for watching. I am Dr. Pascal Scoles, Professor of Behavioral Health and Human Services, Community College of Philadelphia. See you next time.